Yes, sir. Alright. Oh. Hey. Actually, you know what? Let's actually restart the game completely. There we go. Ah. Woo. Alright, let's get to it. Oh man. Look at all those spooky fucking kids there. All Halloweened up. You know, just wondering, why doesn't Clint have a supernatural interest? Huh. Now, I guess this could work. So he does have an outfit that he wears for the theme, which is not the outfit for him for the kid. Like a Chrono Trigger thing that's playing. Alright. Let's see if we can get. From him! Days of Anger. Menace at Large. Oh, is that one of the ones I have to do? Let's see. Yes! Fucking great, fun. Great. Dailies. Fucking hate that I have to wait for this to rotate. I mean, y'all can do what y'all want, man. Look at the whole squad up in here. I want to get something that does. Gamma damage. I need the gamma damage rolls. Oh, don't poison people with my lasers. That's not fucking loud over there.
Agent Morales just gave me the heads up. More temporal anomalies.
How dare this thing?
Considering their future and their location, we think Maestro's involved. We can't let him mess up our timeline. More than it already is.
Rocking the same fucking Iron Man outfit as me. Damn it. I want to change my shit. Like, fuck that. I can't. I refuse. He's got to be the one. Alright. Well, I'm sitting here chilling. See if we can find a good podcast.
Oh. Hey, what's up? You know what you're thinking? You read the title? It's pretentious douchebag for yet another entire W that you need to be able. And you know what I have to say to that? You're goddamn right, I do. But hey, don't be mad at me. Don't fire me or you can never despite one again record problems. Anyway, let's get to the point. You guys remember when this channel was barely getting in one video called Why NXT Failed to Kill AEW. It's crazy looking back at it now, but that video really only covered the first year of the Wednesday before. If any of us experience get any worse, what happens to the NXT that we all used to know and love? I mean, sure, some of the things you love overrated now, but I think that's a bit unfair to what NXT accomplished. It would at least guarantee that a takeover would deliver excellent wrestling. That's not even guaranteed. These days, NXT 2.0 is only NXT by name. It was stripped of basically everything that made it better. But I think it's fair to say that AEW has finally taken NXT out back and pulled in all the outer. Because not only were they beating them every week in the ratings, they took all their top talents as well. This is the Latino Club, and this is the undisputed final offense of NXT.
Woo! Alright, that's right. I'm not switching. You. God damn it.
Remember the day after the first night of the Wednesday Night Wars when it came out that AEW squashed NXT in the ratings?
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
You told AEW it's a marathon sprint. I don't have anything more to add to that. I covered it all in the first NXT video. I just wanted to bring it up. It's funny to this day, but it's quite a NXT was rushed to cable TV in order to try to kill AEW's momentum, and what happened was it proved to be a self-inflicting wound. But WWE needs used to those these days, am I right? Look, when you change what made a show special in the first place, in this case, NXT's more rugged, realistic approach to wrestling compared to the main roster athletes, basically spitting in the face of the people who built on the back of their blood, sweat, and tears. Like, were you guys really surprised when that people jumped ship? Because I wasn't. I mean, I kind of had a feeling that this was always the end game for him, even before the whole NXT change happened. And you know why? Because everyone has stayed in NXT since the run 4 years, and nothing is guaranteed on the WWE roster. So that's why guys like Adam Cole, the Undisputed Era, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano all had a reason to stay in NXT, because they knew they could trust the creative process on that show. They could wrestle the way they want, they could talk over the way they want, and they could still under WWE constraints and back on the roster. Basically, the heart and soul of NXT were given a reason to stay in NXT. So what did WWE do? They did all the way able to reason to jump to AEW, because they just can't see that these pro wrestlers being stars, right? No, that's just such an novel concept that I don't see how that's possible. You gotta hire failed NFL players. Yeah, that's definitely the way to go. There's no way that you can build a promotion off pro wrestlers, right? No, that's not possible. I said this a few months ago on Twitter, and something got upset at me, and you know what, I don't really give a shit. But remember the special feeling and the vibe of an NXT takeover during the golden era? Man, it was great. But AEW is doing that, and it has that feeling every single week, not just for their pay-per-views, but for their weekly shows. I mean, that last night's show, the Holiday Bash, where O'Reilly finally made his long-awaited AEW debut. AEW has that feeling where anything can happen and anyone can show up. It's something that I've said countless times in online media. That's what NXT takeovers used to feel like. Remember when the hottest free agent would show up at ringside at almost every takeover? But now it's not just the special big events where this is happening. In AEW, it's happening almost on a weekly basis. They rarely have an off night. They have what, in my opinion, is the best wrestling roster in the world right now. A roster for the ages, if you will. All Elite Wrestling is basically living up to its name. It's pulling the best from every promotion, from every indie, from the past few years. So the beauty of what AEW is doing is they're using stars that we already knew and loved, and they're pairing them up with stars that are barely getting their first exposure on national TV. And why am I bringing this up? Well, NXT had the benefit of being a quote-unquote developmental system, meaning that for most of his time there, Triple H would just have to sign the new shiny toy from the Indies or New Japan or wherever Ring of Honor, book them well for a solid year, send them up to the main roster, then rinse and repeat. This is what kept NXT fresh and exciting. The fact that just bring in new signings and send the older ones up to the main roster to get buried. With the exception of a handful of guys, which you already mentioned earlier, Triple H never had to put long-term stories. And people are going to go in the comments and say, but what about Gargano versus Ciampa? Well, one, I said there are a few Section 15 people kind of already getting tired of this feud by the time their last match ended. So we really don't know if Triple H could do long or not. That being said, I do have a little bit of sympathy for Triple H because he did build NXT into a pretty strong brand, and now it's all been taken away from him. All because Tony Khan basically did NXT but better. And to add insult to injury, he's only gone and signed multiple top guys from NXT and implemented them into an already great roster that he was building. The first ever night that NXT and AEW went head-to-head on October 2nd, 2019. The show for NXT and Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly closed out that show as well. These three men were Triple H's big guns in the Wednesday Night War, and now they all find themselves in AEW. It's surreal to see these three men were the main act on the show that was fighting against AEW, and now they're here. And you know what's crazy? They went jump ship because they have faith in their previous employer because they were a top act in NXT, but they didn't trust them enough to be treated that way on the main roster. There's some reasons to the joke that NXT was developmental after all, but not for WWE, for AEW. But that's what happens when you create a brand and sign up all the talent in an effort to try to squash other promotions' momentum. Because no matter how much you want to deny it, that's what NXT in its golden era was. The best version of NXT was a response to a thriving NXT and a white-hot Ring of Honor. And for a while, what NXT did work, it halted the momentum of other promotions, but the majority of frankly didn't care because his angle was fun, it was exciting, and he gave us good wrestling. And NXT's plan to squash other promotions worked until it didn't. Along came AEW with far too big of a challenge and far too much momentum for NXT to take down, and thus the indie killer that it smashed in an indie help. And that's when the two very different philosophies between Tony Khan and Triple H gets together. And of course, we all know which will came out on top at the end. The arrival of formerly known as the Undisputed Era in AEW truly feels like AEW has planted their flag in the wrestling landscape and declared themselves the winners of the Wednesday Night War. And of course, we all knew that they were monsters, but this feels like them beating their chest in victory. The great thing is that these three men are already parts of a very intriguing story of the Elites. A story that will without a doubt lead to an insane six-man rematch. But of course, as Tony Khan said, this wouldn't be possible if AEW wouldn't have been so successful right out of the gates. AEW has basically taken NXT's spots as the place to go for anyone who actually wants to be a professional wrestler in America. And if we could end with the Undisputed Era, there's still another big name out there who is considered the heart and soul of NXT, who just might show up in AEW soon. I look back fondly at the stories, the characters, and the matches during the golden era of NXT, but part of me can't help but smile at the fact that NXT has finally given up being an indie killer. It's now strictly a WWE developmental system. At least now the top guys of the once great NXT can now come to AEW, a promotion that works friendly with other promotions. Part of me thinks that while the golden era of NXT was great, the business sense behind it makes me feel that we're now better off without it.
I would agree. Oh, yeah.
This sure doesn't feel like destiny, Maestro. Woo! That's a knockout.
Ah, shit, we're gonna have to reset. Fucking. Yep. God damn it. Oh, we just got the kill on. Fuck. Oh, did it freeze? Did it fucking freeze?
Breathe in the desolation that surrounds you, Barton. I will save you from it all.
By rewriting history? You know damn well how risky that is.
Monica failed. I will not.
More goons. You know the drill.
Okay.
We will not be stopped. We make our own fate.
This sure doesn't feel like destiny, Maestro. Woo! That's a knockout. This is the story
Oh,
Miles
shit.
told us about. Maestro, here we come. Another group down. Maestro's got to be close. Based on that broadcast, Maestro should be up ahead. Well, here goes nothing.
Yes, sir.
Oh, jeez.
Cavorite. Maestro's hoarding Cavorite.
Small step toward a better future. I will succeed where Monica Rappaccini failed.
You got another time bridge stash somewhere?
Play stupid
Don't these
games.
guys ever
You
learn?
win stupid prizes.
Of cake.
But perhaps it being judgmental. From all I've learned in regards to the story of Dead Space, I'm still left with questions in each step. But I've been reminded many times that this is the first of a trilogy, so I'll be patient for now. And just tell the story and it's up to it.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
It's one of how that we've been driven into deep space resources. Was expansion, dimension resources. Was there war and disease? Or did we finally get it together as a species to conquer tears? We know that 200 years before the events of Dead Space, about the 23rd century, the Church and Unitology occurred. Based on the teachings of a man called Michael Altman, a man who made one aware of the existence of the ancient relic on Earth called Marker. Now, we don't actually have any of Altman's words to share here. Only what has been out of order or Jack could call him some 200 years ago.
in the labeling of him as a martyr. He was well acquainted with the nature and purpose of this mysterious marker. So was he assassinated by the Earth government with his knowledge? Was he too dangerous to be allowed to exist? Well, we don't know, at least not yet. I'm not inclined to believe the ramblings of dementia and fanatics, so for now I'll place a question on the true origins of Plutology in this man, Michael Olsen. We do know that after this alien relic was found, intense study began on it, engraved in strange runes and letterings and emitting unusual energy that could have perhaps been put to use in some way. Efforts were taken to make copies of this original marker, though because of the impact they had on the mental stability of those left in close contact with them, they were moved on Earth. Or perhaps unthinking substance. One marker was, at least one marker was made at the top of Earth, to an empty planet called
Just got word from Agent Morales. Touchdown readings are stable.
Began to unlock the
Another time
secrets
anomaly
of
dealt
markers.
with.
Oh, crap.
Good work, everyone.
Well, an outbreak of psychosis and violent mutations began, but why? Well, they found that the runes and symbols on marker 3A were the code to an alien life form. And what do you suppose happened when they began to experiment with it? Play stupid games, and stupid prizes. It was the first necromorph outbreak. As a result, the planet was abandoned, the system was sealed, and none were allowed in or out ever again. But that's not how things stayed. When the CEC, the Concordance Extraction Corporation, learned of the existence of Aegis 7, an illegal mining venture was set up to harvest the extremely valuable minerals from the planet. It's currently unknown if the existence of the marker was known before excavations began, but I would wager that yes, it was known. Somehow. Through information leaked from the government, most likely, though that's speculation at this point. A ground facility was established on Aegis 7, and their employees of the CEC reported some unexplained mental distresses, but nothing beyond that. Soon after, the USG Ishimura arrived, a planet cracker ship that looks like a massive drill, with a space station attached to it. Unknown to much of the group, and possibly unknown to the Aegis Pacific ground crews, much of the Ishimura's command group had been planted there by the Church of Plutology. They were not there to mine or stone. They were there for the marker. They wanted to remove it from Aegis 7 and return it to Earth for the Church to study, for the Church to use. You see, the marker is containment for a hive mind with Aegis 7, the hive mind of the necromorphs, at least the necromorphs that were created from this marker. If there are more, then I do not yet know the nature of them. Now, unitology believe that these markers were gifts from God, their answer to eternal life after death, the next evolution of their people, and they wanted it. When the planet cracker Ishimura did its work, cracked the planet open, and extracted the marker, the hive mind of the necromorphs was unleashed upon all faculty who were left planet-side. Diligent psychosis overtook everyone left behind. It was called an epidemic, but leadership on the Ishimura denied the reality of it to everyone else on the ship. The planet was quarantined, but we know that in reality everyone was being killed, and reconstructed into necromorphs. But the Ishimura was not safe from infection. The marker on board. It made it to the ship with alien DNA. It began to infect crew members. The madness that took place in the mining facility on the planet Aegis 7 repeated the cycle on the Ishimura. Not long after, a ship named the USG ChiLL was dispatched to the USG Ishimura. A Planet Cracker-class ship like the Ishimura going on a communication blackout drew attention. The arrival of the Caliban was swift. On board is a man named Isaac Clarke, who is our silent protagonist.
We heard you
He
managed
played
to
a video
locate one
for
of
a
AIM's
woman
main research
named
facilities.
Nicole, who
We
never
have,
the
Captain
full
Rogers.
length of it.
We'd really appreciate it if the Avengers could help us take it down.
With pleasure, Doctor.
Perhaps he
Jarvis,
volunteered
were you able to do the
engineering
thing I
services
asked?
voyage. But the Kellion crash lands at the issue. The auto doctor guiding tender, malfunctioning, auto-gravity pulled them off track, almost like
Security will be
something
tight.
sabotaged.
They might even have elite
And very
assassination
soon
teams
after
on
their
site.
unfortunate crash
Sent my best people to
two
back
of
you
the
up,
five
but be
crew
ready for
are
anything.
killed by monstrosities. The remaining three are divided, and it becomes a fight for survival while repairing parts of the ship. First, to get it functional. But once overrun by threats and continual sabotages, then perhaps an SOS
Best way into the facilities through the main entrance.
I've got a squad at
It's a
area
wild
to
track
lend
of
a hand.
to just find something that will work. But hallucinations and irrational thoughts begin to plague our three crew, who then turn into two when one is violently torn apart and fertilized. Isaac's final remaining companion, a woman named Kendra, is his only source of guidance and opinion as they go. Always ready with an idea, always ready with information. When she begins to hallucinate that her brother is on the ship, waving at her through monitors, she tells Isaac right away. A race against time becomes pressing as Isaac is also beginning to fall into madness, seeing and hearing things that are impossible. They discover the infiltration of hematology within the Ishimura. They learn of the marker. They find a few added survivors the original crew who beg for help. One in particular, a doctor named Time, insists not in getting the marker away from the planet, but instead returning it to contain the hive mind. Even this ardent universal mind understands that the horror they've uncovered must be stopped. It cannot be Aegis 7. His once confident, though, but Dr. Mercer wanted the exact opposite. He preached that Isaac must accept the gift of the marker, the gift of God, and submit himself to the will of the necroportal. Then he will ascend. Neither of these men met with positive endings. Though Dr. Kai seems to have the best idea, return the marker to Aegis 7 and contain the hive mind. Isaac works to achieve this, he loads the marker into a ship to remove it.
Hey, Doc. We heard you managed to locate one of AIM's main research facilities.
We have, Captain Rogers.
However,
We'd really appreciate it if the Avengers could help us take it down.
With pleasure, Jarvis, were you able to do the thing I
why would
asked?
that be? Why would the government need
block all local network activity to ensure any
She
project
says
data
what
destroyed
Karen
on
didn't
site
know
is
was
deleted
it was the
permanently
government's
then?
best to begin with.
Yes.
This whole
Hill here.
unit is
In addition, we'll carpet bomb the area before you arrive. It probably won't damage the structures much, but it should help soften AIM's security response.
Fiery proclamation from the skies, Commander. I like your style.
Earth almost seems suicidal, like we're very stupid games. Deeper into his hallucinations, bordering on madness due to exposure to the marker, Isaac is guided by the
Security will be tight. AIM might even have elite assassination teams on site. I've sent my best people to back you up, but be ready for anything.
She reviewed the process. We learned that they were a couple, perhaps married, though it doesn't matter. They cared very much for each other. And her presence almost seems too good to be true, doesn't it?
Best way into the facilities through the main entrance.
I've got a squad in the area to lend a hand.
Let's kick down the front door.
Stand firm, Agent. Avengers are on
She
their
wasn't
way.
the issue. The ship was on the run and doomed for her. It was the only peaceful end that she could have. She took it. She's been wrong this whole time. The denial of Isaac. Do your work, please. In the end, at least the end of this adventure, Isaac succeeds. Through failure after failure, he finds his way. He ends the high court, returning the marker to Aegis 7. It is the only way of the line. But what awaits Isaac to Earth when he returns home? Unitology comes CEC. Where else? No. All Isaac has, and that final moment, before we depart from them, is the haunting message of madness. What gave him the message? We didn't learn our lesson, did we? Ages 7, quite uneven in the situation. No, this time, the Egyptologists were doing big. This time, it would be for the good of mankind. The markers were going to be a new energy source, right? Let's go back a bit, to the end of Dead Space 4. We knew that Isaac Clarke was over a bad time in the game, even if he made it back home. He went in close contact with a red
It would
marker.
take longer for him to
He was a
target.
witness to
Locking
every
that position on your heart.
He knew what
You're
Unitology had
doing
caused
something right
it.
if AIM feels the need to take you on direct.
Your glass half full attitude's
When
almost
Isaac
endearing.
being
I'll
imprisoned,
take a
he got
positive attitude any day of the week.
Huh.
killed. He got It was so much worse than I would have expected for Isaac. When the red marker on Aegis 7 was destroyed, that wasn't the end of its influence as laser. To those people who in close proximity to the marker, they experience paranoia, insomnia, mood swings, and violence. This inevitably results in death, either from murder or suicide. The markers use dead flesh, reanimating it into the violent alien beings called necromorphs. This is to achieve an event called convergence, something mentioned quite often by Unitologists in Dead Space 1 and by Isaac's hallucinations in Dead Space 2, though I don't yet have enough information to fill in what this event is. Hopefully Dead Space 3 will go for today. Anyways, as I said, those people who come into close proximity with the marker, we often find ends. But for a few who have the intellect suited for it, the markers do something quite interesting. They imprint schematics into their targets, blueprints on how to
The
make
assassination
more
team
markers.
is still...
These people are compelled to act on this information to recreate the markers. EarthGov gets custody of Isaac after the events of Dead Space 1, and for 3 years, he
They
and
found
his 4 other
Or you found them.
individuals
Be
who have been
careful.
exposed to
Battle
markers
is
were
not
used
for
by
the
EarthGov to do
careful,
just this. Make another marker, give the swan
Keep it together,
is a
Avengers!
big boy. It's a sprawling, monolithic thing. Isaac has almost no memory of these super cells in captivity. In fact, when we meet him, he's coming out of sedation in a straitjacket. And the longer he suffered from the effects of the now destroyed red marker, the stronger it would become. As though the marker planted a seed, and over time it grew higher and stronger. Though Isaac is, for the most part, able to contain the emotions and keep his emotions, his fellow veteran in science experiment, Norbert Strauss, was not so fortunate. His mission worked. Strauss was mission 5. We don't know the stories or fates of patients from the 3, though it's safe to assume that retirement wasn't an uncertain one. Unsurprisingly, it's Unitology that first rears its ugly head at the start of Dead Space 2, contacting Isaac during a cyborg break. He is now on a metropolis space station located on the sector of Titan. What was being done to us, his fellow patients, was secretive, but when we meet Isaac, necromorphs are flooding the area. A strange man remains imprisoned from confinement, and the only guidance he has comes from a beautiful and well-spoken woman, Dana, oncologist. He's promised treatment for his addiction and help him escaping from the surgery of forces. Isaac doesn't know that he's being led on by oncologist, so with no other option, he takes the direction of his woman. Of course, captured and informed that he was a fan. He's in custody for about 45 seconds until Earth does find him to open his fire. Isaac is now basically on his feet. While Unitologists wanted Isaac in the marker to create transcendence in death and rebirth of humankind, Earth does want the marker to use them as an energy source. Mankind relies on planet-backed food resources as a doomed endeavor, and eventually it will fall apart without an energy source. Since the events on Aegis 7, corporations like CEC have become government-owned enterprises. Businesses invested in the future of planet cracking failed. Unemployment grew. The industry collapsed. Natural resources on Earth have all but been decimated by humans. And with the failing of the planet cracking industry, the future of the industry fleet, workers as an energy source, they have seemed like their only option. And they have been their only option.
Stay alert, Avengers.
Earth does do
AIM still has a
exactly
lot
what
of security in the area.
And for 3 years, they built the monolithic Hub-B marker on the Titan station. Clean up that necromorph infection and spread happens very quickly. This is either sabotage, cough unitologists, or this marker alone caused the event. Logs mentioning Pop's mental health decline are found on the station, so which was it? If you know the answer to this chicken and the egg question, let me know in the comments. Infection from the sabotage? Or was the marker responsible?
You think
Or
these
is there
AIM
another
operatives
option?
think they're on the
An
right
Earth
side
Gov
of
official
history?
named
Never
Hans
underestimate the power of a
Tideman
big
now leads
paycheck,
the
Doctor.
effort to stop Isaac from escaping the Titan station. As the director of operations on the station, when the outbreak began, he broke containment protocol and ordered the evacuation of as many personnel and citizens as possible, drawing the ire of the higher-ups. In his way, Tideman is trying to work to serve the greater good of mankind, at the expense of people like Isaac that the Alpha's mother and at the great peril to the continuation of anything broker. In trying to stop Isaac's escape, he's ensuring that anyone tied to the events of Aegis 7 and the Titan station are silenced. Isaac's escape could jeopardize the research. Isaac's insistence on continuation of the marker and everything they were working towards. The marker itself interacts with Isaac throughout his venture, taking on the clear form of his dead girlfriend, the Hulk, who died aboard the Ishimura. The Hulk is on that ship because Isaac encouraged her to take the position. He carried that guilt and refused to acknowledge his trouble, and that's there. The marker used this and the message to the Hulk to translate the forward, closer to the marker. Strauss, more patient than love, is riddled with sicknesses, but tells Isaac over and over again that he knows they can destroy the marker, that there are steps to follow. But if they can get to where the marker is at, they can follow the steps to destroy it. Isaac comes across a woman named Ellie, and she wants nothing to do with him leaves him behind. Ellie then comes across Strauss, who claims to know Isaac. Ellie then takes pity. So, telling Isaac she'll escort him to a meeting place, and he becomes a disclosure of sorts. Strauss becomes more unstable the closer they come to the marker. Isaac also suffers worse symptoms of depression as they go. Curiously, Ellie does not seem to suffer these effects. Strauss chants the steps to destroying the marker. Step 1, step into the darkness. Step 2, screws up tight. Step 3, stick a needle in your eye. Strauss once attacks his ability. He attacks her again not long after, stabbing her in the eye with a tool. Step 3, no, he doesn't kill her. Instead, they fight and flees. Strauss tracks that fleet, attacks him, trying to rekeep his eye with though this ends in Strauss's death. Leaving Isaac and Ellie continue on. But as soon as the opportunity arises to see Ellie's secret face,
Hey, they look interesting. Watch out for new tricks.
Tricks are all they have when
refusing
better get
to allow her to continue
While you defeat AIM's forces, I will hack into their systems and
Isaac
destroy their
speaks
data.
to Parker over the phone and acknowledges that he doesn't want to let her go. He can't move on. The image of the cold tells him that he'll just make her fall, cover for him, but Isaac refuses to do so. The image of the cold reappears a number of times as he gets closer to the marker, helping him along. Once he gets to reach the marker, Isaac is like a snake thread, swinging his hold the glass of the back, watching his attempt to destroy the marker. She's though the marker, from those holding inside their brains, were afraid of her.
Nice work, Avengers.
Together.
The exit is below your
Isaac
current
unlocks
position.
the final codes needed to the marker in sequence that I will translate you into. I'm sorry. What the fuck are we doing? Oh. Amazing. Still not sure of what he's supposed to do when he reaches it. Nice continues to work the eventual goal. And after killing Titan at the foot of the 12th day marker, understands that he is the final part in that
I'm making preparations to pull my people back. Feels like we've done what we set out to do. Thank you, Avengers. Commander.
You're welcome. And likewise, Doctor.
Nice work, people. We made a difference here today.
Indeed.
Doing this, considering the makers of the marker is required for completion. When Isaac fights back against this, he rebounds against the illegible and destroys the marker's influence buried in his mind. Doing this causes this massive marker to be disrupted. As it sits down amidst the chaos and waits for the end.
Wait. My monitoring team detected a huge data burst.
It appears to be a weaponized mech.
We need to take it down hard.
Agreed.
As it pulls himself together, it races for Ellie's ship like a 26th century Iron Man. When we depart this story, we do it much the same as Dead Space 1. Where will Isaac go now? He has Ellie with him. Her fate is tied to his. Earth Gov and Unitology will surely hunt them down. How could they ever go home? The post-credit dialogue tells us that this is just Site 12. Other marker sites will have to give up a slack of 12 years destruction. The future of our now duo, the fate of all mankind, seems bleak. Isaac's face reflects the same despair we saw at the conclusion of Dead Space 1, though, when he looks over, rather than being attacked by haunting hallucinations of all these things, is ill.
The foot-based vents are overheating. Target those. Looked important. Nice work.
Owen was a scientist who was present in the Chicxulub crater in Mexico in the 23rd century when the black marker was discovered. Altman was quite resistant to the effects of the black marker, whereas it drove all of them to insanity. Altman found evidence of the black marker's resistance in its effects on those around it. He attempted to blow the whistle on it, much to the
Looks like it's
ire
about to
of the
stomp.
corporation called Dredger Corps, which worked in conjunction with the Earth Gov military to study and take custody of the black marker. Altman was conscripted into helping them retrieve the black marker from the underwater depths of the crater, which took many attempts to accomplish, and several of Altman's co-pilots died in the attempt to try to kill Altman. When it was finally retrieved and brought onto a water-based station, staff on the facility rapidly
Target the eye.
patents. The marker to be the salvation of mankind, but Altman uses the marker to profit. Seeing the exploration of planets further, Altman escaped from the little bear existence of this marker and doing
The mech's coming back online.
he was taken back to the area and was written to the Necromorph outbreak that occurred on the water-based station. Altman knew of a way to stop the marker, but before he could do so, he was captured by Earth during the decided to use Altman as the figurehead to religion and college. These founders
Its side vents are overheating. Go for those.
even alternate security. Going through the first few days, understand how the followers are, Why weren't they telling us the truth? How could this be allowed to happen? Planet cracking began because we opened our oceans. We depleted our resources. We made too large mankind was facing extinction. Through all our journeys to deep space, to new and unknown planets, never had other life been discovered. Mankind's growth in that loneliness of the universe was palpable.
It's valid for the moment. Go for a time.
Then, after ages 7 and the decline in the planet cracking age, mankind had to face that their future was dependent on capital and the economy. After the Titan station, things were unfairly aligned, and Unitology stepped into the service of learning power and responsibility. Unitology brings a message of hope to mankind, even still not known by the leadership.
I think it's
That
a
has
real
made it
idea.
true in the words of those who solve it by understanding why there's some purpose in faith. It means they have a future. It means mankind is beautiful. There's faith in a better tomorrow. Something brighter than the doomed reality they live in now. I understand right now. Hold no ill will towards the
The side vents are looking
faith.
vulnerable again.
They're desperate people living in a dying system. Responsibility for the action of the world lies with the ability to respond. To use them as tools to achieve their goal is never fails. We begin Deep Space 3 on a planet called Atlantis, nearly 200 years before the events of the series, and 100 years before the events of my ultimate the Black Marker. Atlantis is a harsh, ice-covered planet, but what's doing there? Well, back on Earth, conflict is in progress. Secessionists are at war with the sovereign colonies. Even 200 years ago, resources had been and political upheaval was taking place as a result of this. The political systems created by the sovereign colonies are playing into this mismanagement of management's future. So, the people turned against the rule of the sovereign colonies and war broke out. The sovereign colonies sent several military, research, and archaeological ships to the town of Atlantis. And in all intent to study the planet, scientists have discovered that the markers did not create energy, but transmitted from another source that was broadcasted out. This source had been traced back to the town of Atlantis, and the sovereign colonies believed they could harvest energy and resources that would restore their power and stabilize the resource crisis on Earth. What happened as they dug into the icy pack
Looks like it's about to stop.
were outbreaks of madness and violence the deeper they went from which they became. They found necromorphic monsters buried within the ice and exhumed them for study. They found that everything encased in ice on the planet done so over time. Instead, it was the massive ice age event that took place in an alien species, a grand civilization that was left humanity wasn't totally alone in the universe. They too experimented with markers. They discovered about the markers, about the truth of what we call convergence, drove them to do something which mankind may find unthinkable. This alien civilization created a monolithic machine to produce the planet. They did not believe in extinction. They did not give in to the allure of the markers that they fought it. They stopped convergence. Warnings to anyone warnings of the truth. The markers were trying to create so.
Yes!
Well,
For Monica's
more on
cunning
that.
plan B. All that precious research down the
When a
digital
sovereign colony's
That was
doctor
come up with a plan
named Earl
C,
Swan
SB.
discovered this
In the
while
meantime,
on
I'm
Talbot
taking my people
Atlantis.
back.
It was too
Suggest
late.
you do the same, Doctor.
Humans on and
I
around the
never
planet
doubted
had
that
been plagued
together
by a
we
message.
could defeat
Turn it
him
off.
here today.
Turn it off. Turn the machine off. The machine that was preventing convergence. Dr. Serrano discovered how to instead complete the machine, finally end the threat of convergence. But as I said, it was too late. Two men named
Aims
Tim
down a
and
lot of
Sam are
research
retrieving
in
the
one
codex
giant
of some
scary
sort, shipwrecked, under orders by Dr. Swan. Tim and Sam try to fight their way to the doctor, but are stopped by a man named General Huntley, who murders Tim and erases the codex. The sovereign colony's leadership of Earth Upon learning of the outbreak, issued a Scenario 5 order. All escaping of the ships were disabled. Then all directed personnel were to kill themselves. All who rebelled be executed by proper staff, and those remaining were to destroy all records of their work before also suicide. The sovereign colonies' agents knew that this would forfeit their ability to fight their war on Earth. This was an acceptable loss to them. When General Mahadi raised off-planet codex was key to completing the alien species machine and stopping the markers, to end the existence of the necroforms before they could spread farther. It could have all been put to rest 100 years ago, but it was to be. Earthga deserved power, and the rest is history. For some time after the events of the Titan space station, Isaac and Ellie worked together. They hid from Earthga and Unitology in a space colony on Earth's moon. Ellie could not let go of what happened on Titan. She couldn't ignore the markers that were appearing on stations and colonies. Earthga was still intent on learning to use them to harness their energy emissions, though they still didn't understand how this energy was made or how to use it. They continued to create and study markers, and this use of them is blasphemous to Unitology. By now, 3 years after the destruction of the Titan station in Dead Space 2, Unitology has grown into a beast. The general population is either neutral or aligned with Unitology after all. They preach a message of hope and unity. Earthga has fallen out of favor, and Unitology has seized control and political power. A shift in power is taking place when we rejoin Isaac on the Earth's moon. While Ellie could not forget about the markers and chose to fight against them, Isaac gave up and fell into despair. Ellie left him to pursue the fight. Isaac stayed on the moon and absorbed himself into his trauma. Until this son of a gun banged into the room. John Carver, accompanied by his superior, Robert Norton. They convince Isaac to join them. They tell him on a mission related to the markers that Isaac's ex-girlfriend Ellie is involved and in danger, and if Isaac wants to help save her, well then he must accompany them. When Ellie's name enters the conversation, when he's made aware that she's in danger, of course Isaac joins them. It's manipulative, it dances around the truth, but it works. Carver and Isaac have to fight through parts of the city with militant fanatics of Unitology of their keister, under the order of a man named Jacob Danik. Danik knows of Isaac. He knows that he can destroy markers. He knows that Isaac can interfere with their desire to achieve convergence. He knows that Earthga wants him to do just that. Danik wants Isaac dead. As Isaac and Carver race through the chaos of the colony, Unitology propaganda featuring Danik is known all around the city. It's around every corner, preaching that message of unity in belief, the power of the markers. The duo is actually confronted by Danik himself, who makes Isaac watch as he destroys a marker
You have to get all the Inhumans out
in the
safely.
heart of the colony,
We can take it from
intent
there.
on freeing the marker from Earthga's
Searching the
control.
area now.
A necroform outbreak begins. Because of this, it is immediate. Danik is fully aware of what will happen here. He wants it to happen. It's a part of the rebirth Unitology preaches. Death is just a step along the way. Madness, murder, and mayhem ensues as innocent people are killed in the street and people turn.
You'll have to break them out.
Isaac and Carver flee. Nothing can be done to stop what is done here. They reach an Earth ship and they tail it out, dumping through space to a faraway place. Town, Volantis. Their jump site is littered with old ship sections and junk, relics from the past, which have been here for some 200 years now. Remnants from the Scenario 5 command. No one ever came back to salvage her. No one knew it was there after the solid officers in. Isaac is reunited with Ellen, discovering that in the time they've been apart, she's already moved on and is in a relationship with Robert Norton. Much interpersonal drama ensues as this small team works together to understand and prevent a marker apocalypse. Good time to argue for a girl, I'm sure. Carver keeps Isaac on track, though, as they work through the wreckage of the once functional space stations. They find that the ships are still full of necroforms, and that the crews of these ships fell into madness just as we've seen happen many times over throughout the series. One person in particular, in Marjorie Graves, had become obsessed with that clear message. Work in public. Graves wrote in marker language on the wall with directions on how to make something to turn it off. The Isaac interprets this to be a way to stop or control the markers. This mental suppression is what propels the team forward to finding a way to the planet. This marker rollout is the planet. It's a dangerous process, but they find an ancient ship. The ship tears apart with this lost missing flight means nothing against this threat. Somehow, Panic arrives on Grotto to put them on their planet side. Militant Unitologist fanatics hunt them, probably the song of Apollo's outpost, but how did they get here? Someone has been considering truths. Well, a lot of men on this trip have been considering truths. This one is pretty insidious. Isaac's romantic rival, Norton, sold them out with the promise that Danik would only take Isaac, that Danik would give him a ship, and once Isaac was taken care of, Norton and his remaining crew would fly
Located captive inhumans.
away from this
They're being kept in portable cells. You'll have to break them out.
Which is tried to cut the deal, and the devil showed up with a new weapon to wipe them all out. Though for now they all escape, Isaac and Norton come to blows, both drawing a weapon with him intent on murder. Isaac puts him down. Now, four about the team.
Good night.
Within the labs that was massive they find something
There they are. You'll need to destroy the locking mechanisms to open the cell.
Civilization that froze. She
Challenge accepted.
was used by Dr. Donald's team the original products. The machine, a pure form of alien DNA, was needed for the key codex. To save Rosetta, during the starry 500 years prior, she was dissected into things in a way. Once put back together, the truth of the machine and what the alien race was trying to do revealed to Isaac.
That did it. Theo, work your magic.
Turn off the alien machine. So let the convergence event resume. Should this happen, should the first hyperworks be free, they'll be drawn in together up to two, to the wait for the
The cell is open.
This is the convergence that unitologists unknowingly advocate. This is unity. This is oneness. This is rebirth. And the alien species that something just barely fits in time. Brotherhood is complete. Like the machine, and destroy the cell. Turn it off. It's a source of the virus. It's linked to a network of
I should try not
all
getting hit.
slippery, but if it wakes up,
The cells are all open. Nice work.
sources of other living beings.
There are inhumans caught in a standoff up ahead.
It must stop. After a brutal fight to reach this machine, they decipher how to operate it. They create new codex. They lose another of their team along the way, leaving only Carver, Isaac, and Ellie at the end. But Danik cannot let them go. He won't see reason. He doesn't listen. Isaac tells him explicitly what will he shuts off the machine. Using Ellie as leverage against them, Danik demands the codex. But Isaac is unwilling. He sees this place as a dead place from the past. Ellie's life is a little more than sacrifice of her homes. Instead, it is Carver who concedes. Telling Isaac there's more than one kind of right. Isaac
This
gets
won't
the
take
codex.
long.
She is turned off. emergency concerns, though the fight is not lost. At the price of more pain, more suffering for their own lives, they got Ellie to be safer. Perhaps that is enough to make what they were about to do one. Harvard Isaac used alien technology and the workers themselves to engage with the mind of the awakening Brotherhood, to retrieve the codex and reactivate the
Backup has
machine,
arrived.
to deny
Protect those inhumans.
to kill Brotherhood. It is a complete suicide mission, and this sacrifice is worth it. Carver has lost everything. He's riddled with memories of his lost family. His only purpose is to stop the aliens in his mission. He wants this. From it, let's escape. For all their arguing and disagreeing, to their this is what they do. This is the end. So, we get back to Codex. Reactivate the machine. It should be this ungodly thing. So, it all
And it was going so well for you.
But wait, I'm sorry. That's not what you did. Carver gave Danik the codex in exchange for Ellen. Danik turned off the machine. Things began. These moves are a network. The attack remains though it was only for a short time. It spoke. It told them of the principles. Humanity. Isaac and Carver survived the suffering of town livings, but they understood brethren were making. They would be searching for Earth. Earth, exactly what Isaac built. They fight back through the complex once more. In search of a ship, commandeered and intelligent forces gained across the planet, and eventually they do make it off town Ventus. They race back to Earth, more methods, but brother when we depart from Isaac,
Enter the location on your heart.
celebrate the last time. Earth is being with a bomb. Hey there, thanks for checking the video. Check the timeline in the video if you'd like to skip this part, but before we begin, I wanted to chime in. These videos have always been meant to be what I understand from a story, not a definitive answer to it. It could be wrong, it could be right in storytelling. And I thought to bring a line playthrough perspective because that's what these videos stem from. I go into a video game for the first time and try to tell the story as I understood it using more discoveries in game and occasionally official lore book or guidance from game notes. So if I say something you don't like, please don't take it as a challenge that it's okay to solve this in different ways. It's amazing little communities. So please join us in the conversation. Join the live streams as we talk about certain stories and we fight over whether chocolate and cheese go together. You are welcome here. Now, the Silent Hill series is difficult to time right now. I got lucky with Silent Hill 4's playing timeline, but I don't think this story is mentally bound to at least that's what I'm telling myself when I say it like this ending. There are too many inconsistencies between dev teams and media releases. If you saw Masahiro Ito's Silent Hill 2 tweet in January this year, then you'll know what I mean. So, this story is just going to be that story. I'm going to stray away from being an explanation channel. I'm going to talk about horror, I'm going to talk about stories. Also, this is actually my second video. The introduction to the series was Silent Hill 4, so I'll tend to refer back to Silent Hill 4 to make sense of characters' abilities. Playing Silent Hill 4 actually gives me a massive advantage in understanding the first three games without spoiling or ruining anything. So, like in the corner for those looking to want to check it out first, this video is actually meant to be the combined stories of Silent Hill 1 and 3, but wouldn't you know, there's just way too much story to get through. So, next week, Silent Hill 3, circle back to the standalone story of Silent Hill 2. Anyways, thanks for hearing me out, and enjoy the video. The small town of
These
Silent
enemies must be
Hill.
defeated.
Oh shit. Yeah! Oh, yeah!
The enemies have been defeated. AIM has caged a group of Inhumans for experimentation. Rescue them.
The story Doom Eternal expands throughout the original games up until now. There's been a lot of connections in between, link everything together. But we can also find a lot of mysteries with what's up everyone as in here. Today we have a teaching about the Lord in Doom. This will be a special combination video.
You picked the wrong ship.
About the classic Doom 2 and Doom 60. These are all older videos that have dealt with that. But I'm bringing them up now to describe to see that with all the core videos in one playlist, you can't work a single core video just to find those core videos. So this video will cover a variety of topics, things like the early beta version of Doom, the history of design ideas of various monsters like Alien, Demon, Barons, Hellknights, and more. I also include some history
The
about
core cell
Ace
has a
Officer,
security system
Jump
controlled by a
Barrels,
separate
designing
terminal in the
our
command center.
game, and some
The security
ideas
must be disabled to destroy cells.
It
It can only go down temporarily.
It's a very extensive video that covers a lot of material, of course. I didn't mention some things that brought up the new novels. While this video is mostly about the classic Doom, I do mention Doom 63 and Doom 3, some portions of some updates. But for a video all dedicated to Doom 3,
Cell security terminated.
feature.
Hurry before it's
So,
re-engaging.
if you want to dive into a video that discusses many topics about the classic Doom, this video is what you need. It's loaded with a ton of information. And as usual,
You've saved another
in the
Inhuman.
section about the lore, I will leave timestamps. This way, you can skip to a topic that's by the business lore. Now sit back and enjoy.
Security down. The cell is vulnerable.
What is Arachnotron? Unlike other creatures that have been dwelling before, the Arachnotron stands out as a combination of mechanical legs controlled by a giant brain. While it does have giant arms, they are barely visible during its animations. Its arms flies under the change of color in combat. This evil brain is a lot of ink towards humans. It looks like a smaller version of the Spider Master Blade, but equipped with a plasma gun. When it spots the target, you can hear the sound of its mechanical legs starting up. As the Arachnotron walks around, the sound of its moving legs are heard, notifying the player that it is nearby. This demon brain also lets out a machine-like sound as it chases a target. Even its depths resembles failing machinery. The Doom to Manual describes it like this. Maybe cybernetics wasn't such a great idea after all. But when the Doom to Manual, it seems unfair. Somehow, you're not giving the guys help with plasma gun. When Doom was at its beta stages, the Arachnotron was going to have a chain gun instead of a plasma gun. But this was changed later on. The Arachnotron was given a plasma gun, and the Spider Human or Spider Master was given a chain gun. Both enemy types seem to have the same attack patterns. Once they spot a target, they're being still, firing, but they always try to create the target in sight. Despite their movement being very slow, they are persistent. Something that is unusual about its name is despite being linked to spiders, it only has 4 legs and 2 organic arms on its body. This is different because when you look at an actual spider, it has 8 legs, while the Arachnotron only has 4 legs. Now the word Tron in its name is mostly linked to instruments, so Arachnotron could translate to something like spider instrument. If we look at the new source code, the Arachnotron is listed as MT Baby in many sections. So there's a possibility that during the development of Doom 2, it could have had a name like Baby Spider, considering its similarity to the Spider Master Hunter. When Doom 64 was released in 1997, the Arachnotron returned. The Doom 64 manual has a different description about them. It says this: think of the pain a black widow causes when you disturb the nest. Think what happens when you disturb one the size of a M60 pain. So its size was
Humans have all been freed.
It no longer
Sending
has
them coordinates
legs
for
and arms on its
evacuation.
body. It now just consists of having 6 robotic legs, and the brain itself seems to have no visible arms anymore, but its eyes were given a more sinister look. What's also different about this version is that unlike the original Arachnotron, the ones in Doom 64 are equipped with twin plasma guns. This allows them to fire 2 plasma shots at once, but they fire first up to 5 times. When Doom 3 was released, the Arachnotron and Spider Mastermind were not included.
Everyone's safe at the anthill thanks to you. We're making progress, but we'll keep looking until we've rescued every last inhuman Ames holding.
The Arachnotron has only appeared in Doom 2 and in Doom 64. It's not as commonly seen as other demons, but the trailer for Doom Eternal does show 2 Arachnotrons moving around. There's a good chance it will be seen in-game and not just exclusive to the trailer, because it was mentioned that Doom Eternal will have twice as many demons. However, this Arachnotron seems to only have 4 legs, and it moves pretty slowly, although that could just be for the trailer. When they added something new to its body, it now has a tail. It looks like a clam, but I think it's too short to grab anything, unless they can somehow. But it's most likely a new design for their plasma weapon. The Lost Super Jump is another demon from hell. Their physical appearance is a flaming skull with orange eyes and sharp teeth. It's one of the few enemies that just floats around, waiting to spot a target. When it becomes aware of an enemy, it lets out a hissing sound and charges forward, smashing into them. The PC manual states about them: dumb, tough, flies, on fire, enough said. Lost souls are mostly encountered in groups, trying to overwhelm the player by their sheer numbers. When a beta version of Doom was released, the Lost Souls were silver with blue eyes, and they had no visible flames. They did not fight quickly towards the player, they just merely moved along very slowly. Their attack was also different. They would face the player, then flash for a moment, release a second attack. When the lost soul was killed, it would die in a great explosion, while leaving behind a pile of bones. Even though this type of lost soul was not the final version, its image does resemble the face within the vulnerability power-up. The final version of Doom's code has objects and characters labeled as things, along with an associated number. There's something called the Death Lost Soul, which has an ID of MT-9SC-65, which produced the death animation, the beta version of the Lost Soul. It was left in the game after different versions, but was not used. During the development of the original Doom game, the Climate created something enemy that would spawn Lost Souls. It was called the Blob. It was attached to the wall. The idea was later scrapped, but the textures were then used for the inside of the Pain Elemental's mouth in Doom 2. Even though the Lost Soul appears later in the original Doom game, the PlayStation and Sega Saturn version of Doom have a Pain Elemental that can be found in a secret room on the first level. The Doom RPG game, once again, had more than one type of Lost Soul. There was the standard version. The Phantom, which was green, had left behind a power point and died. This is similar to the beta version of the Lost Soul in Doom. And the last version is the Nightmare. It's listed as the most powerful version. When you defeat a Beholder, which is another variant of the Pain Elemental, it spawns 2 Phantoms. Killing a standard Pain Elemental will spawn 2 Nightmares, and the Raffle variant will spawn 2 standard Lost Souls per dying. In 1997, Doom 64 was released. The screens were also upgraded, but the design was mostly the same as the original. However, they did appear to be slightly transparent, and the fire was now only located at the top of their skulls. There seems to be some similarity between the Lost Soul and the skull formation of the Baron of Hell. Their attack methods were made a little more aggressive, but they appear to be weaker, as a single shotgun blast could take them down. The Doom 64 manual has a very short description of them. It says this: it's tough, it flies, it's on fire. Now in Doom 3, the Lost Soul came back with design. It was based off the face of a human female, a knot area, and some type of rocky mansion. The mutation has caused its teeth and now change in appearance. Since this Lost Soul came from a human, it is believed that this was caused by a natural shockwave that keeps the teleporter to hell. When the protective stabilizer failed, the healer from hell was able to come through. This caused humans to turn into zombies. There was an audio log from Peter Riley who talks about some strange outbreak of dementia. This affects around 80% of the participants that went through the work. Within 72 hours, 70% of them show signs of dark delusion, and violence. He assumes it is some type of pathogen that attacks the higher brain functions. This would lead to turning into zombies, but also is impossible to manifest inside the infected or these bodies. Now, in the expansion to Doom 3 called Resurrection of Evil, the Lost was carrying a design similar to the legend. It was once again deflated skull with horns.
Alright. Let's see how long we can destroy it. About an hour and a half. We can go ahead and cut it out now. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.